Hello everyone, Russ of AquariumX Pets here. In January 2023, almost a year ago now, I posted a video in which I unboxed my mealworm growing pods from the Bug Factory. I'm still using the mealworm growing pods, and I'm going to tell you what I think about them now that I've had it for nearly a year. First of all, you can see this is built of 3 pods that are identical on the outside. Another one down there on the bottom. And I like the form factor. I like the fact that they're stackable. They're compact. You can get a lot. I mean, this is not very big at all. And it's a lot of the self-sorting or so-called self-sorting do-it-yourself kits are a lot bigger than this. So you can get a lot of mealworms in a very small space. Looks nice, and it's even made from recycled materials, which I think is cool. So it's pretty easy to use as well. Let me show you how it's been working for me. So I like to think of this as the first layer here. Just note that the lid is very well ventilated, has this little compartment, and you can put these are activated carbon infused foam, open cell foam inserts to help reduce odors. Personally, I don't have any issues with odors because it's so dry here that the veggies tend to dry out, or the fruit, whatever I put in there, the wet food dries out before it has a chance to smell. So this might come in useful for people in more humid areas, but for me it hasn't been a concern. But anyway, I guess it's nice to have it there in case you do have that sort of issue in your situation. So this level is I'm going to start out with the top here. This is the pupa tray. It's pretty cool. Basically, you find pupae that are in the other parts of the pod, and then you just use these little forceps that come with it have very soft, flexible ending there. So you can pick up pupae or beetles or whatever without hurting them. You put the pupae here. The nice thing about this little tray is it has this lip, which keeps the pupae from falling off because they're not going to move enough to be able to get off into the rest of the tray. But once they become beetles, they'll crawl off this edge on their own and they'll populate this area here. And as you can see, this area is full of holes. Holes are too small for the pupae or the beetles to get through, but they lay eggs, and then the young mealworms fall down here. You can see there's mealworms here. You can't see how many there are. There are a lot of mealworms in here. Some of them are very, very small. This is a newer level. You can see maybe right there, there's a really tiny one right by the edge of the forceps there. There's a whole bunch of mealworms in here. So once you start to see mealworm growth here, then you just simply pick up this tray, move this one along for grow out to another tray, and you put fresh oats in there, and then start over. You set the tray in here with the fresh oats, start again. And under this tray, make sure that you do put wet food down here to keep the young mealworms from desiccating. Make sure not to overdo it because there's not as much airflow down there. And so if you put too much down there, you could get issues with mold or something like that. But as long as you keep that under control, it should be fine. But then you just keep moving like that. And so you move this beetle tray and pupil tray onto the next one, and then you just keep going. And then you harvest the mealworms from the next tray. So it's a really nice way to go. And it's one of those things that produces more for you the more you put into it. If you are harvesting pupae regularly, and you're going to get more beetles, you're going to get more eggs, you're going to get more larvae or mealworms. And if you don't do it very often, you won't get as many. No mealworm culturing method that I know of is truly self-sorting, but this one gets pretty close because, like I said, you put the pupae on the top, and then the beetles separate themselves from the pupae, which is nice. And then these holes separate the young larvae from the beetles. But eventually, if you don't harvest these frequently and go through and pick out the pupae like this, you're going to get a lot of beetles in a setup like this. And you will get some almost inevitably, but you want to kind of minimize how many beetles you have in these places so that you can easily sort, you can easily harvest the mealworms. So that's basically how it works. I would say that in addition to what I already said, um, it has great ventilation because all of these lids are extremely well ventilated. As I showed you, you can see that you're not going to have issues with poor ventilation here. And the only thing that I would mention, I haven't said already, is that when you set this on top of here, if you have food items or substrate, basically oatmeal, which is both a food item and a substrate, that are too high, say you have an apple that's too high, or you have oatmeal that's too high, something like that, the beetles could grab onto here, and then when you lift the lid up, you could have beetles here and they could fall off onto the ground or whatever. So just be aware of that. That is something that I learned from experience. So that's the only caution I really have with this setup. I think it's pretty cool. So thank you to the Bug Factory for sending me one of these that I could review. And if you're interested in getting one yourself, I will put a link down in the description where you can get a 10% discount. And I also get a small kickback if you order through that link at no extra cost to you. So put that link down in the description. And just to let you know, the code is aquariumax-pets-10 for 10% off. But if you click on the link, it'll take you directly there and you can get the discount if you're interested in trying this setup out. And thanks for watching today. I post videos every Friday with live streams once a week as well, all on aquarium and vivarium pets and live foods like this that we use to keep them. Please feel free to share, rate, comment, and if you haven't already,
subscribe.
And then tap the bell for all notifications so you don't miss my next video.